My name is Emma Steele, and I lead our partnerships here at Highlight with our emerging and disruptive brands. And today I am thrilled to be joined by Dulce. Dulce, welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. So, hi everyone. I'm Dosel Mario. I lead the Business Accelerator division at Cosmo International Fragrances, called C3 by Cosmo.
Amazing. Well, we're so excited to have you here. Really looking forward to learning more about how you have had so much experience in the industry, about how you learned about Highlight, about how you ultimately we partnered together to do some work, and how you've been able to use those insights throughout your business.
I've been in the industry for over 25 years. I started in research and development for L'Oreal. From there, I've done product development, fragrance development for another brand, and then I moved into sales and marketing at Cosmo International Fragrances. And last year, we initiated our Fragrance Accelerator division, which I'm currently leading.
Amazing. And you mentioned you've been in the industry for 25 years. I'm sure that the way that you have done research has changed so much. Could you tell me a little bit more about how you've done research in the past and what some of those pain points were?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So 25 years ago, there were probably like 10 different consumer research companies that you can go for resources, and with basically similar type of services, right? Now, fast forward 25 years later, now you have so many different consumer companies and research companies that you can tap into. Even nowadays, you can get consumer information in your inbox, and then LinkedIn is also another platform. So it just goes on and on, right? But when we were doing our research for Gen Alpha, because we were trying to find a partner that can basically bring what we're looking for in terms of the research for this generation. What we found was there weren't a lot of consumer research companies that aligned with our vision. And we were so grateful that we found Highlight, because Highlight definitely was the missing link to what we were trying to do.
Right. And tell me more about that missing link. What was so important for you to be able to get? What was the data and insights that you felt like you couldn't find in other places, or there wasn't mission alignment in terms of what the end result was going to be?
No, absolutely. So first of all, the traditional, or at least the companies that I've worked with before doing consumer research, the data are, it's almost like it takes so long to extrapolate the data. And then also, it's not something that I look forward to, because it's like really tedious and kind of blah. So working for Highlight, for me, I feel like it's like the Gen Z of the consumer testing piece. And most importantly, it really aligned with our business model. And we knew that with the information and the results from the tests that we have done with Highlight, that we felt really comfortable moving forward with the Generation Alpha pop-up.
Amazing. So circling back a little bit more, I know we've talked about your experience and talking about actually the different ways that you did research. So Highlight, we're focused specifically on that in-context research, really understanding how products perform in the context of the everyday consumer's life. So how do we meet consumers where they're at to understand what's working, what's not? And so that's something that we are really proud of, the fact that we've been able to create this internal ecosystem for us to do that. But you mentioned other different types of ways of doing consumer research. And so tell me a little bit about what led you to seek for an in-home usage test on iHut over other different types of methodologies.
So I've done store intercepts before, basically asking customers, do you like this fragrance? Do you not like this fragrance? But what we find with that is they just kind of want to shop when they're in stores. So I'm not really sure if you're really getting the value. We've also done focus group, but with focus group, sometimes you always have that one person who has like really strong opinion, then everyone just kind of agrees with this person. The fact that we didn't have to do our own store intercepts and we're able to tap into highlights in-use tests for us. And for us also, it's like specifically asking questions, right? That we wanted to learn from the Gen Alpha. Since we work for a fragrance house, for us it's really understanding what are the olfactive profiles for Gen Alpha. Is it the same as Gen Z? So for us, it's really important to find out that information from this generation because that will only help us when we develop fragrances for the brands that are targeting the Gen Alpha.
Yeah, and as we know, Gen Alpha is becoming such a critical part of the beauty and personal care market. They have a lot of power over the brands that are really rising to the top in terms of success. And so being able to ensure that you're reaching those consumers and having their voices heard, not just their parents, because their parents are ultimately typically the ones that are buying the products, but at the end of the day, they're buying the products that their children want them to buy. So really interesting to see some of the results and insights from that research. Thinking about the main business question that you came to highlight with,
Yes, yeah.
what was that?
So basically, just understanding the olfactive preference of Gen Alpha. It sounds so simple, but it's really not. And for us, we really needed to have a building block internally to really understand what is it that they like, what resonates with them. And I have to say, the data and the results that we receive, and by the way, the videos from the kids is really like a plus, and it really made the consumer testing more fun. I couldn't wait to basically extrapolate the data, and like everyone internally was like super excited. So
That's awesome. Yes, I know I personally looked through some of the videos, and it was really interesting to see those insights around some of the kids were responding to the different olfactory profiles, saying things like, I like this fragrance because I think my friends would like this fragrance. Or some of them said, I actually don't like this fragrance because it feels too grown up for me, something my mom would wear. Or on the flip side, some of them say, oh, I like this one because it makes me feel more grown up. And so
And
as you think
happy.
of, yes, exactly, and thinking about those emotions that come through, I'm curious how you think about the, there's two sides to the product development. There's really the product itself, how is it performing, and then how is the emotional receipt of that to the consumer. So I'm curious if there's anything from that perspective of like the two sides of product development, of insights of how you applied that.
yeah, because I think it goes hand in hand, right? So it's like, but it's also, you cannot also take it literal, these type of results. So I think that's the other piece that comes into play. It's our duty or it's our responsibility to figure out the best approach and the best way to take the results from highlight. But I want to point out also that there's so much value from the results and the research and the partnership that we've done together that it's not just going to stop when we're done with Gen Alpha. So these are like valuable information that we can continue to build on. Maybe next year, we do like another consumer test, just trying to understand how are they evolving with the olfactive preference. Because I think that's really key, like understanding how the consumers are continuing to evolve as the beauty industry is evolving.
Exactly, yes. And I think there's so many things that we see within the beauty industry in particular that it's hard to identify, is this a micro trend that's just going to be in the market for a short amount of time, or is it something that we're actually going to see continue on and really stick with consumers? And so I love what you said about iterative testing and how important it is to ensure that we're not just checking in with them at one point in time, but actually learning how does what we've learned here build upon all of our future learnings. And so I think that is a really cool thing to hear, that that's something that you guys value.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. We talked a little bit, we're here in New York City, and we talked a little bit about your commute into the city and how your best ideas and when you do a lot of your thinking is on that commute. When you think about product development and what you have in front of you for 2025, What is keeping you up at night? What are you thinking about on that commute? What are the different goals that you have for C3 as you look forward?
So in the beginning of the year, we laid out our cadence in terms of the information that's missing that's just going to make us stronger as a company. But as a company and as a fragrance house, like how do we make sure that we're answering the need and then we're on top of their new beauty habits, the way they're thinking? Because I'm pretty sure it has changed in the last like 4 years ago.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I think coming out of the pandemic and just in a world of information overload, we have people who are picking up new habits constantly. And so having a regular cadence of understanding, what is my consumer doing with this product? How are they utilizing it? How have their preference changed is so important to business growth.
Yeah. And then I just want to add also, in terms of like continuing our partnership with our different partners, as I mentioned earlier when we were having a side conversation, what are the synergy that we can bring to the table where we can introduce some of our clients to you who are needing help with consumer research? Because for us, that's really important because that the business model is also evolving and changing. So we want to make sure also that we're tapping into that need and we're basically here to support our clients.
Dulce, can you tell me a little bit more about the ways that you actually actioned on the data from Highlight?
So as I mentioned before, we use the data to basically kick off our Gen Alpha pop-up in our New York City location. But also it gives us credibility when we present the Gen Alpha information to the different brands that we're currently working with.
Yeah, can you speak a little bit more to, you've mentioned the Gen Alpha pop-up. What is the Gen Alpha pop-up? You're using the data from Highlight, but what is that doing for you as a business?
So for us, what it's doing as a business, so it's getting our name out there as well as a company, but also we want to promote our ideation space and we want to promote the C3 by Cosmo, the Fragrance Accelerator division, where clients and our partners can come in and co-create with us. And the other piece that's really valuable for us when our clients come to the space, they also learn so much about this generation. They learn about the brands that we're featuring in the space that they would have never heard of before. And more importantly, when they leave the space, they have a better idea also olfactively which direction to go, and thanks to the research that you've done for us.
That's awesome. Would you recommend the Highlight platform?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I have to say, I've worked with a lot of consumer research companies before, and by far, Highlight is my favorite one, and it's the favorite of the team. So the ease of navigation, being able to download the videos, and also everything is in one portal. I didn't have to go to Excel sheets to extrapolate all the results. We can basically just take it and then put it in our own presentation. So for sure.
Awesome.
So we really see Highlight now as an extension of our business, and also with highlights being agility and speed, which links to one of the vision for the Fragrance Accelerator. So I feel like it's a perfect match. We were able to put together the Gen Alpha pop-up in like 6 weeks.
Yeah. And how long do you think that would have taken you before? I guess you said it wouldn't have even happened, but
Oh my God, like, I don't know, maybe like sometimes it takes like 2 months to get the results. But it's also extrapolating the results. It's like, it's really painful with my experience with the other companies. First of all, like, it's not fun, it's really tedious. So right off the bat, it's almost like it's a chore, right? Versus with Highlight, it's like, oh, I couldn't wait to see the results. I couldn't wait to put everything together. I mean, honestly, I think I was looking at the results on the weekend. That's how excited I was.
that's so great. I love that. Yeah, we have customers that will say like, I just click the refresh button, like just to see all the data come in. And those are always fun studies for us too, knowing that this was something that you were doing for foundational learning. So really anything's on the table, who kind of knows what the results will be. So that's really cool to hear that was part of your experience too.
And like overall, like I'm truly grateful and happy that the first experience working with your company and with your team, of course, like was such an amazing experience. So definitely more to come. As I mentioned, you're part of our strategy for 2025.
That's awesome. We're so excited. We're so excited for what's to come in 2025.